balanced.
I want to be.
Because I've practiced.
What's that? Are you going to be on the end?
I'm going to be here, like between the two.
All right. That sounds fine.
I'll give you
Then I have a better chance of losing.
Yeah. I used to do that professionally. Basically an amateur choir.
You met Russ this evening. Hi, good to see you. Thank you for singing. For joining in. And I don't know if
Robert's going to sit between.
and you know Alex or Thomas or Robert and
I met Tom, I met Melody.
thank you.
So which is the hardest?
How you doing, buddy? Good, good. Good luck today. You have a roll about like,
Roll is.
you got it. Yes. You got my support.
Welcome to this service of ordination for Jamili Omar. Please be seated.
like to invite you to let the music today be a conversation between us and the Reverend Jamili Omar.
Please stand as you are willing and able and sing "When Our Heart is in a Holy Place" while our ministers and guests process in.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our stories from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of a sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Good morning. Welcome to this ordination of Jamili Omar at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Celeste Rogers. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your worship associate this morning. It is my honor on this very special day to be the first to welcome each of you friends, family, friends that have become family, colleagues, and special guests. Welcome. In the spirit of radical hospitality, our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you have been, whoever you are, and whoever you are becoming, we welcome you and invite you to bring your whole self here now as we add another bloom to our growing bouquet of beauty.
We are gathering this morning to do a big thing, a significant thing, a joyous thing. In our tradition, ministers are not given their spiritual authority by any higher power. They are ordained by you, our congregations. Ministers become ministers because you trust us, you love us, you care for us. As we gather today to ordain Jamili Omar to the Unitarian Universalist ministry, remember this: you did this. You did. And you, Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson and Baja, 4 friends I see here, said yes. And by saying yes, you are also saying, whether you know it or not, we are powerful. And you know what Marvel superhero Spider-Man says about power. With great power comes great responsibility. Thank you. You are my people. All the trust and the love and the care that brought Jamili to this moment must continue beyond this threshold of ordination. So congregation, I want to know, and I'm looking for a verbal response here. You decide what the response is. Will you keep growing in trust for Jamili as she blossoms as a minister in Tucson and beyond? Yes. Will you keep loving Jamili in well-boundaried and appropriate ways? You knew it was in there. To make sure she knows this is important, that she is never alone. Yes. Will you keep caring for Jamili again in those well-boundaried and appropriate ways, and her family as well, knowing that the role of minister can feel hard and even impossible some days? Yes. Good. I believe you, and I believe in you. Come, let us begin.
Working? Yep. Okay, good morning. The flaming chalice marks the space and time as holy and reminds us what we are here to do. To ordain Jamili Omar as the Unitarian Universalist Ministry. She's my mom. Each time we light a chalice, we invoke the ancestors whose calling was to save lives threatened by fascism in Europe, who gave us the flaming chalice logo. Lighting a physical chalice was brought to UU worship by religious educators who began this process with our children, and it is now widely practiced by many of our UU congregations. If you have a chalice or a candle with you at home, please light it as I read these words by Gregory Orr. The beloved moves through the world. It is the world. Becomes the 100 things we love, or the one and only person we love. Shifting, restless, refusing to incarnate in a final form, as if to teach us to keep our eyes moving if we want to see the bird. Flittling from the bush to tree. There it is. No, there. No, it's hidden. You can't see it, but you can hear its song.
Sonora. What's up, friend? Hi, Carla. It's time for a story, please. All righty. Well, today we are ordaining Jamili as a minister. So how about a story about evolving theology? What? Well, some say your theology is your way of considering the big questions and the big ideas about how the world works. UUs believe that your theology can be different from my theology, and we can change our theology as we learn and understand ourselves and the world from different angles and from different experiences. Whoa. Once upon a time, someone was exploring the world. They had a small backpack and good hiking shoes, and they gathered wisdom and values to live by along the way. Along the seashore, along the prairie, through the mountains. They were always curious to discover and consider new ideas about life, and that is a great way to live. One day, as they stopped in the desert in a dry riverbed where they found themselves, there was a spectacular sunset with silhouettes of giant cacti and birds flying. Camping under the stars, you can really see the Milky Way, our galaxy, out there in the desert. They could hear the coyotes howling in joy and the insects buzzing and tippy-toe footsteps of a jackrabbit. It was lovely. Nice way to go to sleep. When the explorer woke up in the morning, they found a trail that brought them to a small village. The folks there seemed to have a lot of know-how. The houses were built of sturdy adobe bricks, not straws or sticks like the first two pigs. I know that story. They had ramadas for shade and a small creek nearby and garden patches with squash, corn, and beans. But there was no one in sight until a little javelina came along, all friendly-like. Was it me? You bet. You introduced yourself and said your pronouns were they and them, and the explorer said, "Whoa, me too." Whoa. The two of you decided to stop to rest there in that quiet village. It wasn't long before a couple of little javelinas sided out of the shadows and said, "Want to play?" And you started to play tag and leapfrog and all kinds of fun stuff and joke around. A few other children came to watch. You, being kind, Sonora, invited them to join too, but their parents said not to trust anybody, even the neighbors, and especially strangers. But I tell you what, after a while, they couldn't resist the fun, and they came up with some new games to play together. The more the merrier. Our explorer decided it was time for a meal and started to surround a spot on the ground with stones for a campfire. Sonora, you asked the little javelinas, "Anybody know where to find some firewood and kindling?" And y'all went skipping down the trail to look for firewood. Then when you came back, you showed them how to build a fire, and you lit it. The explorer pulled out a camp pot and said, "Looks like a day for stone soup. Bring me 3 good smooth stones." And the kids ran around like at an Easter egg hunt. And one of them said, "Look at that pot. You know what? We're hungry too. I don't think that pot is big enough for all of us." And one little javelina said, "I'll go get one." And she came back pretty quick, rolling a giant cauldron right onto the fire. They filled it with water from the creek. One javelina said,
These stones remind me of potatoes. I love potatoes in soup. Maybe I can get some. I'll go ask my mom. After a while, the pot came to a boil, and after a long while, the boy came back with his mom and 5 potatoes. She said, I don't know if I trust you, wanderer. But my son seems to be having a good time. Other big javelinas were staring out their windows with suspicion. The kids shouted, "Come and join us for soup, sillies." One by one, the whole congregation of javelinas joined them, bringing delicious things to add to the soup. Carrots and wild garlic, beans, squash, chili peppers, and prickly pear pads. Javelinas love to eat everything. Of course, there was some disagreement. Too much garlic, someone said. Not enough garlic, retorted another. A few elders cried out, "Why are the children in charge? They're going to burn us down." And the young parents answered, "No, they're leading us, and there might be some burning required." So committees were formed, and agreements were speedily reached to general satisfaction. Stone soup feels yummy in my tummy. Well, while the soup simmered, folks started to talk together, and then someone brought out a drum, and someone brought out a guitar, and they started singing together around the campfire. Some of them even cried together, because crying together is a friendly thing, remembering the loneliness and suspicion that had plagued them for so long. The explorer listened compassionately. When everyone was settling down, the explorer said, "Friends, what do you think happened here today?" And people called out, "Fun, feast, learning, companionship, connection, kindness, thinking outside the box." The mom who brought the potatoes said, "I think you and the kids sparked our curiosity and helped us to see one another from a different perspective. You reminded us that we are all connected and we can create great things together that we could not alone." What a great celebration we had today. The explorer said, "Let's all take a few moments of silence to contemplate what this day meant for us and say a prayer of gratitude." After a few moments, but not too many, the drummer played a little tattoo. One of the kids shouted, "Explorer, you teacher, leader, holder of sacred space, reminder of what we value, celebrant, you are a superhero." Sonora, you piped up, "Not a superhero, but even better, a minister." And the minister and the village people promised to care for one another and continue to explore ideas and values together and make the world a better place. They made better and better soup. They were soup makers. Whoa. Years went by, and they learned more and more together, and it all went into their rich soup. Everyone added their own talents to the mix, and the minister continued as teacher, leader, holder of sacred space, inspiration to curiosity, reflection and creation, reminder of values and celebrations. Life was secure and grounded, but all around them, the world was changing faster and faster. The governments went wacko. People began to realize at deeper levels how badly some were being treated. War and famine broke out everywhere. The air became polluted and the desert began dying. Flash floods became more common and more severe, threatening the village And there were rumors of a great flood coming. I think it was Noah who spread that rumor. Oh no. Well, let's keep our heads on. I bet those soup-making javelinas have learned a thing or two to help them through, come what may. My goodness, what next? Well, now I turn the story over to each of you, and later you can tell the next bit for yourselves. Now, you know our younger friends are always welcome to stay in our services, but if you'd like to head to the nursery, you can go now with Ms. Lily. It's now time to go, and you'll be back later. Thanks.
Our music today is a conversation with the Reverend Jamili Omar, meaning that when we sing, sometimes we will read and sing as if she is speaking to us. At times we will sing as if we are joining in shared belief, and at times, please sing to her. With that in mind and in heart, please rise as you choose or are able, and let's sing My Life Flows On, an endless song. 108 in the gray hymnal for those that care, but the words will be on the screen. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? And though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me grows, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to the rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they were, the bells of freedom ringing. When friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are ringing. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Good morning. My name is Samar Adi. She, her, member at Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Thank you for allowing me to have a small part in honoring Jamili Omar in her ordination today. Today in sharing and stewardship, a religious community is like a river formed from the many streams of our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination, and vision, our talents, skills, and gifts, and the streams of our individual lives to create a river that is both deep and broad, a river that is made of many streams, sustains life, and refreshes the land from which it flows. In our river, there are more rocks, sticks, broken bottles, and dangerous rapids for some of us than for others of us. Every day in our world, people are feeling vulnerable frightened, and heartbroken. For those of us who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color, the effects of racism and oppression are an everyday lived reality. And those feelings are not new. For others, this can be a time of hard awakening to the realities that have existed for a long time, and to new and heightened racial violence and policies targeting the most vulnerable. For all of us, the call of this moment is real. And as Unitarian Universalists, we are invited and challenged every day to live more deeply into our faith. And every day, our people, our congregations, you are responding to that invitation. We are learning to live with a vision of the beloved community in the face of white supremacy and fear. We are learning to confront these things in our own hearts, lives, and congregations. If we as UUs are going to be ready to meet the challenge and accept our invitation to build a new way, we must do it together. We know that, as June Jordan said, we are the ones we have been waiting for. Today, we are asking you to join us in fulfilling this promise of building community where we are all called beloved. And we need your help. As a river depends on the rain to feed it and help it run, so do our ministries require your financial support to run. This financial generosity, which you show again and again, makes real our shared visions and values. Our collection today is to support diverse revolutionary UU multicultural ministries. Drum is Unitarian Universalists' oldest and largest people of color collective. We are an open, welcoming front door for new people and a spiritual home that enriches our liberal religious tradition. Given freely, your donation is accepted with humble gratitude. To donate, if you're writing a check, please make it out to UUCT and put Drum in the memo. You can put your check in the offering basket as it comes around or send it to the church office. If you would like to give online, go to uuctucson.org/donate and indicate it is for Drum. Thank you. Blessed be.
We are the desert people, we make soup. We are the desert people, we make soup.
We are the desert people, we make soup. After 70 years, those little javelinas got really good at making some soup. And those young kids that had once been gathering all their little cute firewood, leapfrogging over each other, were now the elders of the Church of Soup. And their community had a method, and it was not called a recipe, no. What was it called? Dad jokes. A habit? Okay, no. Dad jokes. An order of soupvis. First, in the order of soupvis, the children come, gathering their firewood from their religious exploration programs. And the youngest among them learns to set the fire, and then they sing a hymn. 3 stones, looks like potatoes. Then a call and response. More garlic. More garlic. Less garlic. Less garlic. More garlic. Less garlic. More garlic. Less garlic. And who always wins? More garlic. And the community had an endowment program for the largest soup bowl of all human javelina kind. And then, after the endowment, the drumming and a string of guitar, but not too much guitar and not too loud. This is not California. Then, the ritual crying of tears. But we stopped doing that. It was passé. Crying is implied. And some communities developed an elaborate ritual where they built a tall tower of salt water and dropped stones from high enough that the water would splash onto your face, mimicking tears. So, making soup weekly, not an issue. 10:30. Every Sunday, 1 hour only. Lest a Reverend Javelina have a time management issue. The challenge, of course, was not their perfect, timeless way of making soup. No, it was everything else. The upheaval in the community and that sinking, sickening sense that something was changing beyond compare. There was that sinking feeling that the things we were used to depending on our whole lives were somehow no longer trustworthy. Now, some of the elder javelinas had a body memory in their hooves. That yes, their world had been scary and tumultuous and uncertain, but yet there was always some sense that there was a direction worth believing in. There was some stability that could be trusted, but now, even these older javelinas had a sense that there was no direction at all. There was even that sense that the sacrifices that people had used to make, the way that your grandparent had sacrificed for your life and for your world to be better, that there was a way that younger javelinas were not being born into a world that felt like that. Does that sound familiar? So now things just felt broken. And waters were rising. And first, it's always just the occasional monsoon, right? But then it's those once-in-a-lifetime monsoons or those once-in-a-year monsoons. Okay, it's a once-in-a-month monsoon. It's a once-in-a-week monsoon. It's a constant, small moisture rising 1 centimeter or 2 off the ground until suddenly it's a whole javelina's worth of water on the ground, and that community has to keep moving and inching their fire and their giant endowment-funded bowl farther and farther uphill. Now, for the youngest javelinas, the javelina millennial, the javelina zoomer, now, they didn't have the same appreciation for the soup-vis that people would like them to have. Now, those pathways through the arroyo and the saguaros that the elders knew in their bodies had been so beautiful, those were just hymn references to the young ones. They were references that the elders knew in their bodies, but the young people had to recite as if they knew it to be true too. And they were less and less interested in playing the happy leapfrog to the firewood activity. And they couldn't imagine saying one more time, "We are the desert people, we make soup," as the waters rose higher and higher around them. Because babies are born looking to elders. And we have elders facing an unimaginable world that they could not have ever dreamed of. So imagine one day a council of javelinas and a particularly strong storm. And they've come together around the last remaining fire and the last big bowl of soup, and they are sheltered by the last remaining saguaro. Not quite alive, but not dead yet. And that gorgeous being with all those big empty holes where birds once had babies is leaned over the javelina community, and they've come up right against where it's leaning. And they've got that bowl of soup and that fire, and just outside is the unimaginable monsoon of institutional dissolution. What the hell are these javelinas gonna do? Think about it for a second. What are they gonna do? Right? Because here you are, a council of javelinas. And outside, if you can hear it, through the sound of the planes overhead, or the sound of every single political ad, Arizona, whoa, I just got here from Berkeley, what? If you could hear it, over all of that is that unimaginable monsoon around you. Now, there is a collective who has been inspiring and electrifying my mind right now. They're called the Gesturing Towards Decolonial Futures. I'll say it again. Gesturing Towards Decolonial Futures Collective. And they're this radical collective of artists and researchers and scientists and activists and educators who are wondering, how do we live? How do we live, love, and die in a transforming planet where all life is connected? And how do we short circuit the circuitry of colonialism, capitalism, and white supremacy? What are the experiments that might allow us to practice coexistence without guarantee? And that's a question of lifespan faith development, right? That's actually why, if you were going to ordain anyone right now, you would ordain an educator. And the lifespan faith development we are needing right now is not about mastering our long, fabulous lineage of Unitarian Universalism, although helpful. It is about developing the capacities to relate wider and feel deeper and know our place in a longer expanse of time, and to face the reality that the things that have scaffolded our lives have been violent and unsustainable all along. And that we need the skill to either move beyond imagining that it's not happening, which is the love, light, rainbows, and capitalism will be well, and not being overcome with an unimaginable, debilitating despair. And also not to be annoying, self-righteous solutionists that believe our approaches, politics, beliefs, and soup are the most salvific guarantee known to humankind. So it's interesting to ordain someone in the midst of that. But if we did, we ordain to be lifelong learners of a people from birth to death who are needing lifespan education. Now, it's a different education. We are not mastering our details and our facts. We're growing our capacities for discomfort, relationship, and accountability. And the metaphor of this decolonial futures collective is that to reckon with modernity, and by modernity, I mean nation states, education systems, capitalism, and a humanist value that believes we can be infinitely autonomous, independent, and only responsible when I would like to be. And that has structured our lives and being has been unsustainable and is now completely unstable. And it was inherently violent all along. The extraction and the waste made by the resources that fueled the idea that we would ever be served by this was left either unseen or unacknowledged. And now, even those of us who might have felt served by those very institutions have found them unbuffered. And they are unstable, unpredictable, completely contested, and changing at such a fast pace that none of us can keep up. And we're not even experiencing it the same way because there's a revolution of information distribution that means we're all getting different pieces of it. And that has been about companies and governments being very pleased that they can exploit our attention for their profit. So that is the question of lifespan faith development. That is the skill that we actually need now. And the metaphor they use is that we need to live in a world where we're not on land anymore, people. We are learning to live in water. We are in liquid modernity. The same structures that we thought we can believe in, that were actually violent and unsustainable the whole time, are now being seen for what they are. And it's time to go swimming. This is what they say. It's not about building our underwater bunkers for soup making. No Costco. No Costco trips. They'll be flooded. It's not about building saguaros on stilts or elaborate drainage systems. So yes, everyone else can flood, but our chairs float. Isn't that wonderful? No, in a transformed landscape, this is them directly. I quote, "The initial challenge is learning to float and swim." Floating requires unmooring yourself and releasing unnecessary weight. And then the next phase is collective efforts to build rafts while already in water. And it requires our cooperation, our coordination, and our willingness towards mutual aid. And then we progress from rafts to sails, which is a deeper understanding of a relationship with changed conditions and more expansive navigation. But in the long term, none of that will suffice. People will need to evolve further. They will learn to be water. We will reactivate gills. Get that? We will reactivate our gills. And we will breathe in synchrony with the fluid movement of all ecology. That is worth lighting a fire for. So when I read that, I think, no problem, we got this. Okay, don't panic. There was an endowment for that soup bowl. Why do I think that? The symbol of our faith, 1941, Lisbon, Portugal, drawn by the hand of an Austrian refugee. It was a chalice. What does a chalice normally have in it? Liquid. What kind of liquid, Julie? Thank you. Our high priest is playing it real PG right now. And what I like to imagine, even though this is UU fan fiction, this is not in the history books, but I like to imagine a Unitarian Service Committee that has positioned itself as a place to help people move through. And they are using the seal of the chalice to give people the power to leave what is harming them and move through water. Okay, and what I love to imagine is the idea that they take that chalice of wine, no offense, I love a Chardonnay, but they take that chalice of wine and they pour that shit out and they light it on fire. And that is the flaming chalice. That's the symbol of our faith. And the beauty of that symbol is the willingness to pour something out and make space for something new. So the emphasis is not on the wine or the soup, it's on the capacity to transform without a guarantee. So what should these javelinas do? Well, this is the ordination of Jamili pants. So WWJD, what would Jamili do? She would look lovingly, right? You know a Jamili look. I see nods. She would look lovingly at that circle of javelinas, and she would say, "Hi, friends." And there would be children nearby. Tariq, yep. Amira, any one of us, consenting but unsuspected. And because this is something you inherently bring, the soon-to-be Reverend Jamili, is an inherent call to multi-generational life. Now, some of us have to remember our elders, and some of us have to remember the children. Jamili never has to remember either. Jamili's always bringing it into her vision of what the future contains. A multi-generational future where what feels broken between generations has the capacity to transform. And like that original traveler in our super story, Jamili came up with that. There is a call to come around fire and trust. Trusting perhaps that our bodies are water, despite their attempts to act otherwise. And I like to picture them all those little javelinas, maybe this time with real tears in their eyes. And I like to imagine them with that giant bowl of soup and that rising tide of water. And I like to imagine them pouring that shit out. And I like to imagine them realizing that that gorgeous space they've learned to make floats. That this bowl is a ship, it's a boat. And that young ones and old ones have a space to get inside and learn again what it means to be with water. And then I'd like to imagine that some of those javelinas do have the capacity to swim because they've already had to learn in a world that impacts us so differently. And maybe it's the young ones and maybe it's the old ones, but there's a cross-generational mentorship and dog paddling between them. And I love to imagine the kinds of experiments in raft building that might happen in those spaces. Imagine people unlearning separability. Imagine people unlearning separability and really truly believing and swimming with the great metabolism of our planet. Imagine a future where those were the spaces where we learned how to do that. And wow, I want to see a javelina with gills. I want us to unlearn and experiment and move towards an accountable, responsible coexistence with the great metabolic reality of our planet. And damn, I want Reverend Jamili to be there. Now, Joy is 4, my daughter, and I've been watching her take swim lessons. And I'm watching a child learn, with the help of a loving adult, how to put her belly up vulnerable to the sky and realize that she is part of a great, watery mystery of being. And may your ministry, as someone so inherently committed to that vision, may it be a blessing, and may it be a blessing for the width of our relatedness and the depth of our time. May it be so.
Gordon Weeks, and I am the president of this awesome congregation.
Woo-woo!
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the authority to ordain ministers rests solely with our congregations. It is the people of our communities gathered for sacred purpose who recognize the divine at work and call that spirit out from one of their own, setting that person aside and conferring a sacred charge upon them, that of ordained ministry. It is by our choice, consecrated by the relationships we share, that we entrust them with the lifelong task of ministering to this world and its people, both within our congregations and beyond. Today, in the tradition of our free church, we who are gathered here have the honor and duty of adding another minister to the lineage of clergy that reaches far back in time and far forward into the future. The act of ordination bestows the authority of religious leadership, the title of reverend, and the privilege to wear a stole and bear the responsibilities of that mantle. Jamili, you have prepared yourself with deep contemplation, study, and experience that have equipped you for this vocation. You've shared your gifts with our 4 congregations of the Baja 4 and received the recommendation of the Ministerial Fellowship Committee of our Unitarian Universalist Association. Are you now ready and willing to accept the mantle of ordained ministry?
I am.
UU Church of Tucson, the church where Jamili first moved into a life of religious leadership, the members of our congregation have voted to ordain Jamili Omar. Will the congregation of UUCT now rise as you are able in body or spirit? I invite you now to speak the words of ordination printed in your order of worship. We, the congregation of the UU Church of Tucson, do hereby ordain you, Jamili Omar, into the Unitarian Universalist ministry. We affirm your call to serve in the tradition of our shared faith. We charge you to minister faithfully with an open mind, a loving heart, and helping hands, to speak the truth in love, to tell of the wonder and mystery of life, and to urge all whom you serve toward a deeper commitment to justice and compassion. In this, we pledge to support you in all the ways we can throughout your ministry.
It is with humility, gratitude, and joy that I accept the ministry to which you have called me. Mindful of the immense privileges and responsibilities of ministry, I dedicate myself to this vocation, and I pledge myself to the service of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I know, like those who came before me and those who will come after, that I cannot do this work alone. I ask for your love and support as I take up this ministry.
We invite all present now to rise in body or spirit to join in affirmation of this ordination. We celebrate you now as a Unitarian Universalist minister and affirm your ordination as the Reverend Jamili Omar. May your ministry nourish and sustain you. May it blaze with the light and warmth of truth, and may it be a deep well of healing justice in the world. Again, in this tradition, the authority to ordain ministers rests solely with our congregations. It is the people of our communities gathered for sacred purposes who recognize the divine at work. It is also not for ourselves that we maintain our churches, congregations, connections, and communities. We are simply its stewards until we pass it along to our children, our grandchildren, and generations we will never meet. May we bless their fire, flame their brilliance, and trust in their stewardship. May we be good stewards and become good ancestors for them. Our chalice light is a beacon that reminds us of these commitments, and in particular, the heat and energy that the young bring to our lives. Jamili's ministry is one of deep commitment to nurturing young people, so we have invited them to bring their energy back to us today through a passing of the flame. The flame will be brought to the person at the end of each row. You want your candles now? That person will turn to their neighbor to light their candle, and so on. The unlit candle tilts, not the lit candle.
We're all good.
A symbol of our Unitarian Universalist ministry is the stole. The wonderful quilters here at UUCT handmade this stole for you, Jamili. We hope you wear it with the same love and affection with which it was made. This stole brings you the best wishes of your congregation. Thank you. Love from Sonora the Javelina, a flaming chalice of faith, and a saguaro to remind you of the time it takes to grow in a desert, and how stately and beautiful it becomes with a crown of white flowers that morph into rich red seeds. Please extinguish your candle, but let the flame of community light your way.
Little sonoras. Yeah, you can extinguish. Excuse me.
This ceremony we do today is but a moment in the life of our congregation, which is a stream of living history. Our strength, our current vitality and joy comes in part from our source waters, those who gave life to this congregation from its founding in 1948, when we were simply the Unitarians. Some of the names of our congregational ancestors are known to us, and some have washed away with the tides. But all who have contributed their time and talents and treasures to create the roaring river that is the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson today. This is the essence of shared ministry. It means sharing leadership by transcending hierarchies, rethinking traditional divisions among the roles of ministers, religious educators, music ministers, lay leaders, and others. Shared ministry is an approach, collaborative, interconnected, less strictly hierarchical, that lives into our faith's highest values. In shared ministry, we work together to bring out the best in one another. And all of us, each of us, like drops of water in the river, has a role to play, because no one person or small group of people alone can fully live into the mission of this congregation.
And what a joy it is to be here today, to celebrate our shared ministry, while we also celebrate our calling of Reverend Jamili out of these literal seats to fulfill her calling to the ministry. Reverend Jamili knows that while she has a particular and important role in this congregation, the real work of our congregation happens in the relationships we have and the promises we make to one another. Our strength is in the ministry we are called to do together when the river is raging and when the waters are calm. Sharing means that no matter how hard it gets, you are not alone.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
You are loved. You are worthy of love. You do not go it alone. None of us. And the good news, we've already begun a relationship of shared ministry, dear ones.
Whoop, whoop.
Spirit of life and love, compassion and courage of humanity, we gather today acknowledging that our connections are real and necessary. We are each and all connected. As members, as friends, as family, as staff, as newly ordained minister, as local community members, as colleagues, and Unitarian Universalists from near and far, we are connected across generations and distance. And today we celebrate and bless this shared ministry that works and serves to build spiritual community, honor the diversity that is present and yet to come, and advocate and create justice in Tucson and the surrounding areas. As the representatives of you, our congregation, and your ministers, we pour into our shared joys and sorrows bowl this water as a representation of the commitment we make to each other and to you to continue to add our drops of water to the river of our congregation.
Oh.
That was anticlimactic. That would have been really cool. Okay. There we are. Theater magic. Water from Mother Earth, we become for community. We become, as Mother Earth ordains Jamili Omar, we become.
May there be joy in the work to come. May expressions of gratitude and appreciation flow freely. May there be courage for honest and sometimes hard conversations. May forgiveness and grace be found within these walls, and may love and justice grow in Tucson and beyond. May it be so.
Amen.
Blessed be.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am Reverend Julie Olson. I'm a leader of the Southern Arizona Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans. So you might be thinking, where's Reverend Sarah? She could not be here with us today, so I'm here to accept her award. Oh, wait.
Oh,
No. I have the privilege of reading her words of collegial welcome. And I would ask that all of the religious professionals in the congregation today to please stand. It is my honor to offer on behalf of all of your colleagues gathered here and all of those whom you have and will work with in your ministry a deep collegial welcome. Ministry done well is never a solo activity. In addition to the congregations and organizations we serve with other religious professionals with whom we covenant and with whom we imagine the world as it might be, while navigating the world as it is. Your work with the Baja Four has been a great example of this. As your colleagues, we invite you to a community of practices. We welcome you to shared discernment, to deep listening, to spiritual practices of tender care for yourself and others, to prophetic proclamation and protest, to hearty laughter and engaged living that restores, revives, and reclaims you. Answering the call to ministry is very personal, but living this call is collective. We welcome you, dear one, and we celebrate your arrival. May your ministry grow and your relationships deepen, sustaining you through difficult times and rejoicing in moments of gratitude, abundance, and connection. Thank you.
Colleagues can have a seat. I need you. Songs electronics. I told you we'd be here. We can hold hands if you want to. Because this is the secret. This is just you and me. They get to listen. We just have 200 or 170 flies on the wall. We could take a deep breath with me. Seems like we need another one. Reverend, there are hundreds of pieces of tidbits of advice I could give you. I've already offered a few dozen, I imagine. And I've brought 3, actually 4. I added a 4th one today. The first is to be selfish. Ministry, as you know and will continue to know, is a profession of giving. A giving profession. There are many others. But you are a giver of givers. Like, oh, you give. So I also want you to surround yourself with people and practices and things that give to you, that nourish you. I want it to feel indulgent. Coffee, chocolate, massages, all of it. Give it to yourself. Be selfish. Number 2 is to save some energy for your family. Ministry will take every ounce of energy you give it, every single ounce. And your family deserves more than the dredges or the reserves. They deserve some of your best. So save some energy every day, every week, every month for them. Number 3 is to not mistake your job for your call. Because your call is bigger than any contract or any job duties, anything you call work. Your call is bigger than that. And your call, if it's anything like mine, will lead you some unexpected places and spaces. Tucson, Arizona, who would have thunk? But I want you to get used to listening to your call, to trusting it, being in conversation with it, certainly. But remember that this is a call to ministry. And the 4th one I added is to take a walk in the woods once in a while. And I think you know what they mean. They don't have to know. Welcome to ministry, colleague. Thank you for saying yes.
I think they heard at least part of that.
There's been a number of metaphors today, you may have noticed, and I have one more to give you. Today, we forge a new link in a chain of links that stretch back to our founding in 1948. In this metaphor, members and friends, past and present, have brought their special ingredients to this link, just as the strongest metals are made of a combination of alchemical elements. Some links have not weathered well in our past. Sometimes it's been elements of ministry, sometimes it's been elements of our congregation, and sometimes a particular blend of those. Those links have weakened or even cracked. Sometimes, but those links have never completely broken, and here we are. Each link is unique. The link we are forging today has a particularly unique new ingredient. 2 ministers dedicating themselves to guiding us on our continuing journey towards a beloved community. What ingredients do we, as members and friends and children of UUCT, bring to this new link? I've added my ingredients of teaching, finances, tech, and leadership in many links with different ministers, different interims, and different religious educators. I now charge you to bring your special ingredients to this link, whether this is your first link or one of dozens that you've been part of. Please respond with "we will." Will we embrace Reverend Jamili's invitation to lifelong learning? We will. Will we lean towards each other in supporting and building community? We will. Will we show up with our open minds, our loving hearts, and our helping hands? We will. Will we bring our time, talent, and treasure to this new link? We will. Now, let me be frank. The treasure is important. As someone who worked on this year's budget to bring Reverend Jamili as part of our congregation, a part of our ministry, and to working on it next year, it is so important that all of you will continue to be generous when we come to pledge season. If we don't support our new minister and our other minister and staff well, then what will happen? Our link will weaken. Finally, children, this is your turn. Will you bring your energy, curiosity, and love to Reverend Jamili loud? Thank you. Reverend Jamili, this congregation is ready to forge a link with you in it.
We are your Baja 4 colleagues, representing the collaboration of our faith beyond any single congregation.
We have come far together, through much together, and we have witnessed you discovering all of this ministry and your ministry along the way.
Oh, we celebrate with you your ordination and recognize you're taking on a well-earned new role among us. And yet,
we have no welcome to our shared ministry that we can speak that we have not already discovered together.
There are no words of collaboration we can extend that we have not already lived into together.
there is no heartfelt anticipation for your ministry that we have not already seen fulfilled. And so,
we offer you our wonder-filled wishes for the amazing tomorrows our continuing shared ministry discovers together.
And we speak our proudest prayers for our ongoing work to bring to life our Unitarian Universalist faith here in Southern Arizona.
we humbly give a Baha for blessing. Wherever our shared ministry takes us, may we continue to go together in love and care and affirmation. Blessed be.
And now would you sing to Jamili? Stand as you choose, and as you are able. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you lie, I will lie, beloved. Where you lie, I will lie. Where you lie, I will lie, beloved. Where you lie, I will lie. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, ancestor. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, ancestor. Where you go, I will go. Where you lie, I will lie, ancestor. Where you lie, I will lie. Where you lie, I will lie, ancestor. Where you lie, I will lie. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, children. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, children. Where you go, I will go. Where you lie, I will lie, children. Where you lie, I will lie. Where you lie, I will lie, children. Where you lie, I will lie. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people
Friends, I have a story for us. Where were we last with Sonora and the squadron of Javelina? Well, they were floating in a well-endowed bowl from our endowment soup, right? So they're floating on this river. What lives in our rivers? What's in our river? Otters. Otters, of course. Fish. What else is in our rivers? Seals or eels? Eels. Crawdads. Beavers. Our river is filled with life, abundant life, as our javelina float along. Now, sometimes the river is calm and placid, and this makes the floating fairly pleasant, right? Sometimes the rivers come. Sometimes the rocks emerge out of the water as a surprise, and it makes the boat shake. Well, one day, our friend Sonora, who's somewhere here, fell out of the boat. Sonora fell out of the boat. It was a particularly choppy day. The boat twisted and turned, and Sonora fell over. What did Sonora do? First, Sonora said, maybe we should have gone back and invented seatbelts. And then Sonora said, maybe we need a National River Safety Administration to administer us on this river. And then Sonora thought to themselves, maybe I should invent snorkels or goggles or invested in an inner tube or a life jacket. Sonora, you had none of that stuff. So what can Sonora do? Swim. Sonora realized something amazing in that moment of being a little bit panicked and a little bit underwater. Sonora realized that not only would the river not hurt them, but that they too were a part of the river. The river contained not only all of the river life, the eels and the otters, but also a small, steady voice that spoke plainly and clearly to Sonora. After hearing that voice, Sonora began to relax. They began to feel that they too were not just in the river, but they were a part of the river. And the fish and the bank and the trees and the eels and the birds and the flowers and even the human people on the shore. That they were all a part of this divine world, thought Sonora. We are all a part of this divine world. And as they floated down the river next, they thought to themselves, I'm ready for my next big adventure. And so it is with us. We float out of here today, on to our next adventure together. May you go in peace. May you go in grace. May you go together with your people as you are my people. Go knowing that you are truly and deeply, every one of you, loved.
And now let's sing our ministers away. When our heart is in a holy place, the recessional. Stand as you choose or are able. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, follow them out. When our heart is deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's arms, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's